Okay, you should now have finished your spider diagram, and you should also have finished your initial brief and be starting to think about the next stage. So the next stage is to look at some existing products that are already out there at the moment. Your brief probably won't be entirely unique. There will probably be existing products out there that other people have produced that may or may not be the sort of direction you want to go into, but it's worth looking at what's out there already so that you can describe how your work is going to be similar or different to what's already there. If what's already out there isn't very good at all, this is a really good starting point for you to describe why yours is going to be a lot better, why you're actually going to solve a design problem. So this bit is called the existing product analysis. So most of you will already have looked at potential solutions to your brief by looking at what's already out there. Others of you will already created, or others out there have already created posters and logos which answer similar briefs to the ones you've written or chosen. The next thing you'll need to do is analyse a product which is already out there. There will be elements of the work you like, but there'll be elements which you might think do not work. Okay, so if you're producing a poster for a film, or you're producing a piece of packaging, or you're producing a character, those are things obviously that have been done before, but what's going to make yours better? And one of the best things to do really is look at what's already there and describe why you think yours is going to be similar or better to the one that's there at the moment. So here's an example of a student's piece of work before. So it's based on a travel poster, and this student has looked at the main image, they've looked at how they have used text and how successful they think it is. Your job is to critique an existing product. So when I say critique, I mean be critical of what's already there. Now, it may already be a really good piece of work, so you can talk about why you think it's so good and why you think it works so well, such as this Stranger Things poster, which is meant to evoke the time of the 1980s. And you can spend quite a bit of time describing why the composition, the text, the use of colours, the materials that have been used is really good. So tell us about it, what you like, what you don't, and how you'll go about producing your own work either in a similar or a completely different way. Choose some images to start with that you can use. If it's some packaging or a series of pictures would be good. So if it's packaging, you can see the back and the front and the side and the bottom. That would be good, as well as just maybe having a picture of the front. So try and use these prompts, which I'm going through in a moment. So let's just have a quick look at this one in a bit of detail. So this student has put the Stranger Things poster in the front there. So they've talked about the characters at the top of the poster look scared as if something bad will happen to them or something around them. This also raises the enigma as to what they're scared of and why. The use of a starry night connotes space in the sci-fi genre. This could success that will be something to do with the sci-fi within the series. So they're talking about the positioning of the girl in the centre of the page suggests that it will become the main character throughout the series, and she's located centrally. So they're really describing it in quite some detail, and you can have a look at that in a bit more detail on the PowerPoint. So, what are you going to be talking about when you actually do your analysis itself? Here we've got an analysis of this packaging here of child's food, and the student has gone into why they think it's a good product, why they've chosen the colours, etc. So the aesthetics is basically the look, the overall look of the product itself. Does it have visual impact? How and why do you think this is? So if you see it if there's a poster and you see it on the side of a bus or in a bus depot or in a magazine, why does it draw your attention? What is it about it? If it's not very good, if you think, well, it's got a terrible look about it, it's very dull, it's very plain, it's not drawing my attention, it's not exciting me about actually going and looking at this product in more detail. Why is that? Consumer. How do you think the consumer would react to the product? Was it something you would look at, buy or enjoy? So if it's a product, would you pick it off the shelf to look at? Would you want to go and watch that film if you saw the poster? Would you be interested in those characters if you saw them in a book and you'd like to invest more time watching the TV show? What's the main purpose of the product? Is it doing what it should? If it isn't, why is that? Has the graphic designer failed in that instance? Materials. How do you think they went about producing that piece of work? Do you think that was the best way of doing it? Could it have been produced in other ways? If it's an old poster and they painted it, maybe that was the only way they could do it. Maybe there's an over-reliance on Photoshop. So if you find a poster that's been really badly Photoshopped, you can talk about that probably wasn't the best way forward, or more time should have been spent on it. Overall impression, is it a good product? What can you learn from it and apply to your own project? What pitfalls do you want to avoid in your project? That's the most important thing. The reason we're looking at this is so that you actually learn from what actually is out there at the moment and whether your product is going to be similar and things you don't want to fall into the trap of. You don't want to end up with exactly the same product as what you started with. It's got to develop and it's got to get better and it's got to fulfill a number of different criteria. So doing some existing product analysis is a good starting point. Okay. Here's another example here of an analysis of this, the Dark Knight poster analysis. So if you're going about this, maybe choose one image, one thing, and look at it in some detail. Okay, it could be over a page or a double page in your sketchbook, but really have a think about the product in some detail. Look at the colours. Really analyse what's good and what's not good about the product itself. Okay, because by doing that, you're learning about the process that's gone through to actually create that product to begin with. Okay, you really look at something, you can really analyse how it has been made. I very often now, when I'm looking through things in shops or looking in books or looking in magazines or looking at products, the first thing I think about is how was that made? How was that created? You're looking at it from an artistic standpoint. How did that artist go about creating that product? Okay, and if you can't tell, that's where the magic arrives. How have they done that? That's amazing. That's really amazing. How have they gone about producing that piece of work? If it's scruffy and it's not been produced very well and you think it's been haphazardly done or done on the cheap, then certainly it's very good to do that. I mean, I find it a lot easier. If I come out of a film at the cinema, or if I see a bad film at the cinema, I can say a huge amount more about why it was bad and why it failed as a film, as opposed to watching a good film and you can't quite put your finger on why it was good, but you just enjoyed it. Okay, it's less to talk about. Okay, so that's the existing product analysis. This bit comes between your brief page, okay, your spider diagram, and the first artists. So it's going to wedge that gap in between those two things. Okay, so hope you've enjoyed this video. If you've got any questions, please ask me and let me know. Otherwise, I'll speak to you soon. Bye.